In March 2025, the Hoover Institution's Fiscal Policy Initiative hosted a conference of budget experts and economists. There was widespread agreement that the question is not whether the U.S. will face a fiscal crisis, but when and how severe. We asked each of the participants the same question: what are the most pressing fiscal challenges facing the United States today?
The U.S. has many pressing fiscal challenges.
The fiscal challenge for the U.S. is, obviously, we're running big deficits. We're not taking in as much as we're spending.
The high deficits.
The persistent primary deficits.
The U.S. has to do something about deficits.
The unheralded part of that, though, is the long-run problem, which is what I would focus on. There's a lot of attention on this year's deficits, next year's deficits, and so forth. But really, the fact that we have no plan to pay for Social Security and Medicare over decades, no plan to return to the historically standard pattern of taking in a little more money than we spend in good times and thereby paying back debt. That long-run problem is the more worrisome problem because that's what limits our capacity to borrow.
The most important fiscal challenge that the U.S. faces, it's basically Social Security and social expenditure.
The impending insolvency of the Social Security and Medicare trust funds.
We also need to deal with our major trust funds. Social Security, Medicare, highways, they're all running out of money. And if we don't do something soon, we're either going to face deep across-the-board benefit cuts or debt that is rising just unsustainably fast over time.
I'd say the biggest challenge is the combination of the entitlement spending that we have primarily for senior citizens in combination with the fact of low fertility in the United States today.
Slowing population growth, so adverse demographic trends.
I think the most pressing issue is to get economic growth growing again at long-run historical levels.
The interest on the federal debt exceeds our military budget. The interest on the federal debt amounted to 18% of our revenues in 2024. It's scheduled to go up to 22% in 2034. But that is only under very optimistic assumptions about the interest rates we will pay on this debt as that debt continues to accumulate. If interest rates are just 1 percentage point higher than projected, we will see interest payments consuming 30% of U.S. revenues. And if you take off the table revenues from Social Security and other things where the money is already committed, it looks more like 40%. This is consistent with a fiscal crisis, and the U.S. is on a path to catastrophe if we do not fix this. Congress must address the budget deficit immediately.
In the immediate term, the focus right now is what to do about all of these expiring tax cuts.
Most pressing fiscal challenge I think of when I think about what's facing our country is really what's going to happen with taxation.
The individual income tax cuts passed in 2017 are scheduled to expire in 2025.
Because if we extend them without offsets, that's up to $5 trillion more added to the debt over the next decade.
So that's all to say that we have faced these big challenges, and democracies in general have not been good at preparing in advance for these things.
Our role at the Fiscal Policy Initiative and the Hoover Institution is to provide a roadmap to return to a sustainable fiscal policy, to avoid catastrophe, and to put us on a path to long-term economic growth.